Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. Today I'm joined in the RV in the, we'll call it the Metro Phoenix, Arizona area with one of my old players, Isaac Wenrich. We kind of had to roll back to the RV, dealing with a little bit of food coma coming on.
Yes.
Had a real big breakfast, but going to sit down and talk. This is Isaac's second time on the show, first time flying solo though. So Isaac, thanks a lot for joining me.
Thanks for having me and coming to Arizona. You know, it's nice to see you out here in the heat. You know, normally I see you when it's cold back in PA. So.
Yeah, no, glad to do it. Love being able to connect with you guys. You know, it's funny, you guys go through the organization. You go out and you spread your wings and fly, and a lot of times we kind of lose touch. So. The best part of this for Sandy and I is being able to, track down some of you guys who weren't able to get back to Pennsylvania very often and, stay in touch. So it's been the best part of our journey. And like I said, we just spent, a long breakfast together. And you're getting ready to head off to the Reds complex to do some rehab catching. I mean, tell me, You played some professional ball, some independent ball, but to be able to go to the ballpark, obviously it's not the dream you were chasing initially, but
right.
You're getting paid to go to the ballpark, put the uniform on every day. What's that like for you, and how's that journey been?
We talked just a little bit about it during breakfast, but it's still a dream come true. Just like you said, I get to put a jersey on of some sort. I still put pants on to go catch, and I'm at a facility of an organization that I really respect and who's given me endless opportunities. It's kind of amazing that you're not sure how it's going to play out when you walk in as a rehab catcher. It's kind of like, okay, I'm walking in off the street. I'm an hourly guy. I'm not that salary employee. I wasn't there from spring training. So it's like, how am I going to be perceived? And I was welcomed with open arms. They really have just let me kind of shine and be who I am, and they're reaping a little bit of benefits of my personality, I think, as well, and seeing how I can make other people come and show their best as well. So it's been kind of a dream come true to be able to still be in the game every single day. It's what I get to do every day of the week. I go to a baseball stadium, so I wouldn't trade it for the world, man.
Yeah, no, I love that. And like I said, you didn't actually start off this year with the Reds at first, so you're kind of in flux at the beginning of the season. COVID last year threw a wrench into the gig that you had.
Yep.
How tough was it, kind of, that uncertainty of not knowing, it's like right before COVID, you kind of arrived, so to speak, and then it gets cut off and, start this season without a job.
So, I was with the Giants, had a wonderful gig, same type of thing, getting to do a little analytics and stuff. Actually, had just gotten married too, and we did our honeymoon and come back, and all of a sudden, working with the Giants, and probably 2.5 weeks in, I get the call, and they have to furlough all of their catching coaches from AAA down, and I was one of the first calls they had to make, and it's a devastating time because I thought that felt to me like the organization I was finally clicking with, and it was like, okay, they're letting me do a lot of hands-on stuff, and I was getting to work with the catchers, and then that happens, and you kind of sit and you wonder for a second what's going to be. And luckily I work at a fuel factory, which is a facility out here, giving lessons and doing some camps, and during actually this off season I caught a ton of big leaguers. I actually got to catch Tyler Glasnow, Jamison Taillon. I caught Edwin Jackson, which I've been doing for the past, umpteen years that I've been out here. It's been pretty amazing. Mark Zubczynski also, he won a World Series with the Cardinals. Like, the list goes on and on. I've really, really gotten, Tarek Skubel's another one, Detroit Tigers guy. I've gotten just to be so blessed to kind of, when a door closes for not a reason that I can control, something seems to kind of guide me into a direction that I'm supposed to be going in, and Fuel Factory gave me a chance to kind of bridge that gap, and I still do lessons there. I'm still there. And then all of a sudden the Reds called my boss up there at Fuel Factory and said, "You know a guy that catches bullpens?" And he said, "I actually know a guy that is the best at catching bullpens." So, he said, I'll give you his information right now. And 3 calls later, I had the job, and it was, another blessing that kind of seemed, in a little bit of uncertainty, something good came out of it. And it was, I think it's just a testament to just the love I give to this game too. You know what I mean? Like, you gave so much to this game as my coach and as everyone else's coach that you worked with. It's like, now you're getting to see such amazing things from it, because when you go on this road trip, people want to get in touch with you and they want to see you and get breakfast and talk about the great times because of what you gave us. So, I mean, that's what I want to give back to this game, is everything that you gave me. You've taught me it from the beginning, you know what I mean? So I want to give you that credit as well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. It means a lot. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in professional baseball.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about this when I had you and Stacy on the podcast,
right.
Probably a little over a year ago now.
Yep.
But, you weren't the most recruited guy out of high school.
No.
But, again, hard work. You find yourself at Franklin Pierce, Division II school.
Yes, sir.
But, again, right out of the gate, you didn't go in there and get the starting job.
I was on JV, actually. That's so the exact opposite.
Why didn't you give up? Why didn't you just say, you know what, maybe it's not for me?
Well, it actually goes back to a conversation I had with Coach Bloom, the Kutztown baseball coach. When I was looking to go there, he actually told me that he didn't want to see me sit. He didn't want to see me come to his school and sit, because he already had his starting guys at the positions that I played. And he said, go play somewhere that you're going to play because you deserve to.
Just as a side note, Chris Bloom is was probably the most honest college baseball coach in the world.
I don't think another coach would have sat me down.
Most guys, they recruit you and they're like, hey, even if I have no plans on playing this kid, if this guy fail out, flunk out, transfer, I might need this guy down the road. So anyway, sorry to interrupt you there, but got to give Blummy some credit.
That's exactly what he was.
The most honest, was the most honest college coach out there. He never over recruited.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, just to hear him say with honesty, it gave me hope that out there there's a program that I'm meant to be at. And I remember I did my workout at Franklin Pierce and I loved it. The coach said great things about me, said I had a good swing. He told me to bring my catcher's gear and my first baseman's mitt because I could do both. And I remember going back to the car and my mom was crying because she said, this is where you're going to be. She told me right away when she looked at me working out on the field with the guys and stuff. And so right away I was like, this is where I want to be. And freshman year comes and there's 3 other catchers, one of which I might have been a Gatorade Player of the Year or something crazy for Connecticut or whatever. Mike Dowd, he actually was one of my roommates one of the years, but unbelievable baseball player, unbelievable person. But then I looked at the next 2 guys, one of which was my roommate from Pennsylvania, Ryan Brown, and another kid, Tim Quinn, and I'm thinking, all right, maybe catching's not my spot. And then I look at first base, and there's giant human beings over there, and I wasn't exactly the biggest guy, so I just knew I was going to have to put my nose to the grind and do it. And when I got told I was going to be on JV, I did think about transferring, I'm not going to lie, for a split second. And then I thought, why not prove them wrong and maybe get onto the team later on, because not many colleges have a JV team. So I thought to myself, either quit and go somewhere else and maybe they tell you you're not good enough either, or play JV and prove people wrong. So I think it was a pretty easy decision. Once I got the you're not going to transfer because you're not a quitter mentality, that was gone right away. So it was like, okay, now it's just time to see what I can do. They put me in the outfield a little bit too, because the coach didn't like me because I was a little bit annoying because of my personality, So not that there was, trying to make me fail, but it also helped me realize that I got to make sure that I'm looking out for myself in this game of baseball and putting myself in situations to succeed and giving nobody a reason to say that they don't like me or that I don't deserve an opportunity. So it helped me take a look in the mirror and realize, look, if you really do love baseball, then one no is not going to change how you feel about yourself and your ability and where you want to ultimately get to. Right. So I think it helped me out to honestly be on JV and show myself that you're not going to just give something up that you love because it got tough. I got fortunate enough that the next year, not to get ahead of, your question, but because I stuck it out, the next year, my sophomore year, they brought in a transfer student who I thought, again, wasn't going to play, but I was on varsity this time. And in Florida during spring, he runs off the field and gets sick because he had a little stomach bug. And I go in and get a hit my first at bat. I start the very next game. I get 2 hits and 2 good at bats after that. And the coach actually made it a point to tell everybody how determined I was, and basically that I seized an opportunity that I was given. So at the end of the day, I think it actually helped me with my college career and understanding what type of player I was and teammate I wanted to be, and that quitting doesn't really get us anywhere,
So did that help you in your pursuit playing professional ball then as well?
Yeah, because it was kind of the same, a similar kind of journey. It was, you're good, but we have this guy, or you're good, and then, let's move you to another position because we have another guy, so you can do this. It was kind of like I never really had a position. I was always kind of floating between a couple, and I think it kind of made me realize, if I wanted to really do something, I was going to say, all right, I'm a catcher, and I can play first, and I can play third, but I'm a catcher. And graduating college with no kind of scouting or offers or anything like that, it was discouraging, but it wasn't the end of the world because I knew there was different outlets. There was different routes. Independent ball will never be a slouch thing to me. It was equally as difficult. There was so much talent in the leagues that I played in, even the ones that are considered lower leagues to most people. There's dudes who could have stepped onto a AA, AAA field and played and fit right in and done their thing. And so I think the little bit of doubt that someone had in me my freshman year told me that it's okay because you're going to be doubted. There's always people who either want to be where you're at and they can't, or want to look down on you because you're not where they are. And it's all right, as long as I'm content with what I'm doing and I'm coming to the field every day trying to make myself and my teammates better and everyone around me, my career was fantastic. It was, I couldn't have asked for a better career.
Yeah.
So
one stop on your journey I want to talk a little bit about. A couple years ago, you had what seemed like it was going to be a little bit of a homecoming where you end up in Lancaster.
Yes.
And it ends up being a short-lived stay.
Very short.
You find yourself getting traded to a team in the Atlantic League called the Road Warriors, which for any of my listeners who don't know, is a team that has no home field and plays the entire season on the road.
Yep, living in hotels and driving on buses.
How tough was that?
I mean, I'll tell you, the toughest part was the preparation pregame, because you're showing up, at a decent, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours before the game, because it's not your home field. So you're not going to the stadium early to get your tee work in and your cage work and then hanging out and going to take a shower and relaxing unless you Uber, unless you want to get there 4 hours early. And some of us could do that. Some of us, depending on how much we were making, you're not really able to Uber over there every day. Right. So the toughest part was being able to pregame prepare hitting-wise too, because we had 5 groups for 30 minutes and you're groups of 4. And so you're like, okay, well, I got 4 swings, and now I have to go warm up the pitcher. So the preparation pregame was the toughest part. The sleeping, we don't sleep anyway. Sometimes you're restless after the game. By the time your head hits the pillow and you're finally able to doze off, it's 2 a.m., 1 a.m. You kind of got used to that, knowing you were going stadium to stadium and hotel to hotel. And if you had a good hotel, you got luckier. If you went through, maybe back-to-back stints in a not-so-great hotel, your back hurt a little bit during that series. But I think for how difficult it was, it showed me how many people love this game of baseball.
Yeah.
Because you really have to not just the indie ball route, but the Road Warrior route. You have to love this game because you're put in too many positions not to fail, but you're set behind the 8 ball so many times that, any success is kind of everyone started to get excited about us in the league. even Long Island, who we kind of we didn't get along with, like, we eventually got the respect from them because they saw who we were. We were just a bunch of kind of misfits thrown together on this road team, going out and playing baseball, and we had fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun doing it. So it was difficult. It was mentally challenging. It was one of those things that's, you know, a couple days you're like, man, how much do I love this game to be doing this? This is crazy.
Right.
We
don't have a homestand coming up.
No, there is no, I don't get to, you know, there's no like, hey, fly here because like it's my family. Like I can't say, oh, drive to so-and-so unless it was Lancaster or York. It's like, hey, I'm not sure yet because, you know, like my wife was going to fly in and luckily we were in Somerset so I could take my parents' car, but I got traded like probably 3 weeks before she flew in and we already had the tickets and everything. So that was kind of a hectic thing too, is like, okay, babe, like we're not staying in Lancaster. We're driving to Somerset and then I'm going to drop you off at the Philadelphia airport and then I got to go back to here. And then, so it was hectic, but I'll tell you what, it made me really realize just how important, like, just loving this game is and treating your teammates with respect and knowing that, like, that's your battle buddies. Like, those are your boys going into battle because everybody else gets to go home and sleep in their bed or a nice hotel every night. It's like we're on the bus showing up 4 a.m. to Southern Maryland after being in Sugar Land, and we got a game that day at 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, I love baseball, so here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when the Atlantic League first introduced that concept, I was just like, wow, I mean, that's tough life. I mean, because you hear, major league commentators now talk about, hey, this team just came off a, rough 10-day road trip.
We had a 110-day road trip.
So, for, both your college career and your professional career, back when you played in the Berkshire organization,
yep.
Obviously we did quite a bit of traveling back then.
Oh, yeah.
How much did that help you prepare? Because, again, we weren't like any other normal organization where if we were going to a tournament in Galveston, Texas, it wasn't like, hey, everybody goes with their family and, figures out how to get there on their own. Or when we went out to Vegas, it was, hey, we're traveling as a team.
Yep.
We're getting there on a bus. We're showing up. We're going to the airport and
absolutely
vans, the whole 9 yards. I mean, how much did that end up helping you throughout your career?
I think the one trip that helped me out the most was the one to East Cobb when we slept on the sleeper bus.
Yeah.
Like, to be in close quarters with people like that for that long of a trip, that was for sure the one that was like, okay, this is what it was. The Road Warriors was like. We got to where I forget where we even left from. Did we leave?
I'm trying to think when you played, because there was a point where we actually would play a exhibition game at George Field on a Thursday night, and would have you guys basically shower at George Field and load up the bus and
that
go.
Might have been after me.
Could have been.
Because
it all blends a little bit.
Yeah, we might have still met at George Field. Yeah. That might have been our spot.
Because that was one of the things we used to tell the guys. We're like, look, if this is going to be tough for you, you're never going to play professional baseball. Because that's what you do. You play a game at home, you shower, you get on the bus, and 15 hours later, we're in Marietta, Georgia.
I wish. See, there's nobody that does it like that's a fun thing to like prepare kids to be like, hey, listen, this is going to be your life. Like, we're not just showing up here and everything's going to be red carpet rolled out and everything. You might get a bus that breaks down. You're at a gas station at 2 a.m. You got a 10 a.m. game the next day and you're still 3 hours from your hotel. Like, are you going to be able to get some shut-eye? Are you going to be able to get up and stretch yourself out and realize, like, I got a game regardless of how many hours of sleep I got? Like, I think it's for how much traveling we did and the way we did it. And like you said, like, it was the team. It was a group of people with one goal to go play baseball in a different state that we were all excited to do. So we kind of understood what you were asking us to do as an organization. And then we were fortunate enough to have a lot of parents and kids who were cooperative. Yeah. And unfortunately it's a little bit different today.
It is.
And I don't know that would work today.
No, I've often wondered that myself.
I don't think you could ask an entire team to go because you'll have 3 or 4 parents saying, well, we booked a flight through here and we're going to leave. We want to go out early because we're going to go see Disney first. And, and it's like, time out. Are you there to vacation or are you... I don't care. I know your kid might be 13, 14, but like, let's start to set him up for what, if he wants to play baseball, cool. If you guys are just there for a family trip, that's cool too.
Right.
You know, like I'm okay with that because you are still young. You're a kid. Be a kid, and your parents want to have some fun, fine. But like, if you want to be a baseball player, let's start to understand that there's steps that we have to take.
Absolutely.
And there's sacrifices that, I don't think I had a summer vacation until after baseball season was over. August. Maybe like end of August was when my parents had to schedule our vacation. Yeah. So if I wanted to have our school went to Spain, I think my senior year, and I didn't go because it was baseball season, and my coach said you either go to Spain or you go to you come to baseball, and it was like no brainer. Right. I'm a baseball player.
All of our Berkshire families had that little window, the 2 weeks between when Legion season ended and Berkshire fall season started, where everybody went on vacation.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool. Now, I know we talked about this in the first podcast, but I think it's a story worth telling again, where you had a pretty close call a couple years ago, and
yes.
Many times you talk about how you have a new lease on life.
Yeah.
So just tell that story again as to what happened and what I mean, there is a chance that this meeting never takes place.
Yeah, and I mean, so a couple of years ago, it's 5 years. I think it was 5 years this year, or maybe 6 years this year. But I was perfectly fine during the day, hit with my friend, went and lifted, and then had a lesson with Nate Boyer, who I had been coaching. He was 13-year-old kid on my 13U team I was coaching at the time, and went down to a park in Chandler to give him a lesson. And kind of after it was after I lifted, I got home and had a little bit of like indigestion, I thought, because I ate eggs and hot sauce, and I was like, okay, this is just weird. So I took some Tums, didn't think anything of it, and then it started kind of moving down my arm a little bit, and I just had this weird pain, and I thought because I lifted chest that day, I'm like, all right, I'm cool, like, I'm 26, I'm fine, I'm just going to drive. So I drove 45 minutes, got down to the park, and I said goodbye to Nate's mom, who, just to preface the story, stays every lesson. Has never left a lesson ever. She had to go get ready for dinner with her husband that night, and she was going to come back and pick Nate up, and I was telling her I had some chest pains, and she even joked around with me a little bit. She's like, oh, maybe you're having a heart attack, haha, like joking around.
Because nobody expects a 26-year-old to have a heart attack.
Again, I'm 26. And so she leaves, and Nate and I'm sitting on the bucket about to text my wife, telling her we're about to start, and Nate finishes stretching, and he's like, all right, man, you're out ready to go? And I clapped my hands, I'm like, yep, and I stood up and face planted into the ground, and I don't remember anything. So apparently I had a widowmaker heart attack, which only 5% of people survive, and it's 100% blockage of like the main area of blood circulation. So I collapse, and Nate thought I was joking, and so he's like, good one, coach, like, let's go. And then he heard me breathing really funny, so he picks up my phone and was tapping it because I had a lock screen on it. And I mean, he didn't know you could make emergency calls still, but I don't think I'm thinking to tap my phone to not let the lock screen come up. I mean, this kid was miles ahead of me. And he had learned CPR from Boy Scouts a couple of years before. So, I mean, CPR, just to tell everybody, is super important. You can seriously save a life. It's insane. But he slightly remembered it, called 911. They walked him through chest compressions. For 4 minutes, I was dead. I was like gone. And his mom comes back and can't even get into the parking lot. There's fire engines everywhere. Nate had texted my wife and said, hey, something's really wrong with Isaac. And she thought he was joking because that's who I am. I'm a clown. I'm a knucklehead, and I would joke around. And she called Nate, or my phone, and the sheriff answered, and then she knew right away. She had to get in the car, and we went to Chandler Regional Hospital. The paramedics were a mile down the road. It took them 5 minutes, not even, to get to me. I was in updated cardiology unit in Arizona 15 minutes after collapsing, and basically the perfect storm for me to have a heart attack and survive. The only scar I have is a little incision on my wrist that they put a stent through my heart. And I'm at 100% resting heart function today. I only take a cholesterol medicine they told me I'll have to take forever, and I didn't have high cholesterol or anything. There was no family history. This was the most fluke, maybe epiphany thing, you know, to have the new outlook on life that we kind of discussed in the first podcast. But just, it really is, man. Like, the sky is bluer, the grass is greener. I change more lives than I did before. I'm way more aware of just what's important in life and you know, how we really need to exist together. I think I'm starting to grasp that even more. But like, it was just an experience I obviously wouldn't want ever again, but I couldn't trade it for the world. Right. I'm still here. Nate got so much accolades, so many accolades, and so much praise for what he was able to do, which he deserved. I'm still in such close contact. I actually called him yesterday. He's in a college in Minnesota. Got the starting job this year, so he's excited about that. But like, it just brought him and I so close together. It's something that I can't even put into words, really. It's just, I understand that sometimes we maybe need a break. Maybe that's what it was trying to tell me. Like, hey, you know, you're pushing too hard, slow down a little bit, and understand that it's okay to feel like maybe I'm a little lazy, and that's okay, because I know I'm not. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think that's what people can take away from it too, is like, step back a little bit and slow down a little bit and enjoy life and the little things that you might kind of look past because you're too busy going to work on something else, or you did work and now take a day off from the gym one time. It's not going to kill you. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, it's like, I just think that there's more important things than crushing ourselves on the inside too. It's like, let's lift ourselves up for what we do well, instead of saying everything we need to improve on. We know we all need and have improvements to make, but let's praise ourselves a little bit more for what we do well. And when we need a break, let's take the break. Yeah. And just be like, hey, I'm not okay to do it right now. Yeah. You know, I think that's a huge thing. The mental health is being talked about so much right now too. It's like, it's okay to want to chill a little bit and to not feel like you can do everything in this world, because we can't. Yep. We need people. We need just people around, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that, you know, for Sandy and I, with what we're doing now, and that's probably the thing that's been so important to us, you know, is, again, taking the time to, you know, carve out a couple hours to have breakfast with one of my old players.
Exactly.
You know, because when we started running that complex, I mean, I was probably working, you know, 80, 90 hours a week.
Dude.
And, I mean, I loved every single second of it. That's what I try to tell people. I'm like, don't ever think that I didn't love what I was doing. But there comes a point where it's like, look, you've done enough.
Yeah.
You know, you've done enough. And it was tough at first for me to really kind of accept that and grasp that and say, you know what, this is our time now to go out and...
Well, you built it. You know what I mean? You did what you were supposed to do. You made it possible for people to go there and do what they were doing. And you saw that it was time for you to take that same love and joy and light out on the road and give it to everybody instead of just the little people of Berks County. You know, we trust me, it's an amazing complex. I've only gotten to see it a couple of times, but it's like, you did it. It's exactly what you were supposed to do. Let it flourish, and now go take that and pass it to everybody else that you can.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, what we're doing now, we have no regrets at all. Absolutely love it. So, you know, it's great to see that you at a much younger age were able to grasp that and really come to grips with it. So I know you got to get over to the complex, so I don't want to take up a whole lot more time, but you know, when you kind of sit back and think of your career in baseball, whether it was through our organization, through high school, through Legion, professionally, and what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned through the game?
Oh, man. I mean, there's, like, I know that I said the love the game thing, but that's one that I will always hold on to. But, like, I think understanding, I'll say it like this. I think the biggest lesson I learned, and this happened when I was in the Can-Am League my last year, I really saw it, was that people really come to see us play. Like, they pave out their day, buy tickets, come to watch us do something on a field. And if I'm not giving my best, or if I don't have the best attitude towards this game or play my hardest every single pitch, like I forget, somebody else, I know there's a famous athlete that said it, but like if someone, it might have been Kobe, if somebody comes to see me play one time and I'm not on my best, did I really give them what they deserved? You know, they paid money to come see me play. So I think it's like understanding like that, yes, this is a game, but like this is a way of life. Baseball, and I learned it from the Berkshire Red Sox from the very beginning, was like the traveling. How did we conduct ourselves? If we were dumb, you made us run. You know what I mean? On a beach till we threw up. Or in that parking lot on that one ramp, those sprints we did, like you taught us that it's bigger than baseball. It is about being a good man. It's about being a good person. It's about understanding that this game will shape you, but you're also shaping the game by being who you're supposed to be. So, like, I think that was, again, to give you the credit in the very beginning of, like, my playing, because sure, Little League and stuff that I played, but, like, to be in an organization of travel ball that was, like, super competitive, we were good, and I was playing with good teammates and good coaches, and, like, you taught us that it was just bigger than baseball. It wasn't going to be baseball that made us good people. Right. Sure, you have a skill set. It's great. But if the person behind the skill set isn't going to change someone's lives, then the skill set doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know, there's great baseball players, and some of them you don't hear about at all because the media doesn't like them. Or they don't want to be heard about, which is fine. But then you see those guys who are the Freddie Freemans that go out of their way to take their son to their game before an NLCS championship game. Or, you know what I mean? I think it's like that is what it is baseball's way bigger than, or this is way bigger than baseball. Like, we have to be stand-up citizens and humans before we're great baseball players. So that's another thing that I learned from Berkshire was, like, early on, let's not be a menace. Like, you know what I mean? Let's have some respect for everybody because they're all rooting for you. They're all in your corner. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's important that you said that because, you know, hosting tournaments, you know, throughout the years, we would oftentimes on a Monday get a phone call from one of our host hotels saying, hey, that team from so-and-so, we don't want them back in our hotel if they come back to one of your tournaments. And in the 30 years that I was running that organization, we never got that phone call saying, we don't want your Berkshire team back at our hotel.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it was quite the opposite. You know, we would get phone calls saying, hey, I just want to tell you, we've had a lot of baseball teams come through this hotel, and none of them treated it with the type of respect that your kids did. Exactly. And I'm not saying our kids didn't do some dumb things every once in a while.
No, we did. We sure did.
You know, I remember
sharks in a bathtub.
You hopping on an elevator in Galveston, Texas, soaking wet because the guys decided to give you a swim. And
I think I cried
Gulf
too.
Of Mexico.
I was crying at the age of 14. My feelings were hurt.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that part up, but you did. But
but yeah, for real.
I remember Sandy and I got on in the lower level. You go up to the next level, the door opens, and there you are, soaking wet, covered in sand, bawling. And I'm like, Isaac, what happened to you?
Yeah, 4 other guys happened. They threw me in the water. I didn't stand a chance. But no, it was. But that's the thing too. Like, just even when, like, you think things are because kids don't like you, you realize it's because you're on a team. Right. And everyone gets picked on. And it's not, you know, sure, there's times when it's not being picked on anymore. But, you know, for the most part, it was just, there was so much love in that organization that, you know, we knew how to act. We knew that, A, you were going to hold us accountable, and B, we didn't want to disrespect you or embarrass you as, like, our guy that took us everywhere that, I mean, that was, like, in the kind of, I didn't know that stuff existed. I didn't know you could travel for baseball. Like, you know, we were playing in Maryland. I was like, that's cool. I get to go to Delaware. Like, yeah. Right. And then we go to Vegas for the first time, and I'm like, as a team, like traveling as a team, moving as a unit, like, and you're like, okay, so this is what travel ball feels like.
Yeah.
One thing I do like about what we did in Berkshire was it wasn't like we took dudes from other states and tried to put a super team together.
Right.
We practiced together every week, 3 times a week. And you knew your teammates, and you played baseball. And, like, that was that for me is what's a little bit different right now, is if you're missing a team or a position on the field, you can call whoever from wherever.
Right.
And there's not the camaraderie. There's not the let's gel and let's be a team and go win tournaments. It's who can I add to my team so we can win.
Right.
And I think what we did best was just take what we had, and
yep, we were a team.
We really were, man.
We won and lost, and if we got hurt, we dealt with it. You know, I remember the one
everybody stepped up.
You know, when you were on our team, and you know, we were getting ready to go to Myrtle Beach, and we played, you know, 4 exhibition games in a weekend, and we were down to like 12 healthy guys on the roster, and you know, we're making decisions to keep, you know, everyone healthy,
right,
so that we can actually limp our way into Myrtle Beach the following week, you know, so that some guys can get recovered, and yeah, we just dealt with it. And if that's what we had left to go to Myrtle Beach, that's what we had left.
Exactly.
We didn't call, you know, 4 other studs from the next county over and say, hey, can you come down and play with this weekend?
Exactly.
You know, so I mean, there were many times a kid would go on a trip with us who, you know,
he might
was on crutches,
he might play the
had
last
a cast
game
on his wrist, or whatever the case was.
Just run, or might have to run if you're...
Yeah, so
for real.
Yeah, and I think that was the big part we wanted to stress to you guys, is that, you know, this was a team, it was an organization, and you know, to hear all these years later that it did make an impact, definitely,
sure
you know,
I mean,
tells us we did it the right way.
Grit and determination, you know, that is never going to go away.
Right.
You know, it's that's not going to change. That's how you get what you want, is by going after it relentlessly.
Right.
And we knew that like you said, if somebody was just pinch running because they had a cast on their arm, the other 9 players had to step up, even if that was our best player that was hurt. Like, it didn't matter who it was. You knew what your job was, and you did it. And I feel like maybe kids don't know what their jobs are now in baseball, and it's kind of changing the atmosphere of it. It's like,
I agree.
You know, if you're a smaller kid, you were hitting the ball on the ground the other way, and we were hitting and running so you could get hits. Yep. We were going to put you in a successful situation instead of saying, well, you don't have power, but hit a homer anyway.
Right.
It's like, time out. Let's do some stuff to help these kids set up for success instead of failure and getting them out of the game right away because they're mad they failed. It's like, no, all right, here's what happened. Here's why.
Yep.
Because you didn't realize that this is your game.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And, you know, to that point, you know, one of your good friends, Aaron Carmen.
Yes.
He started playing with us on the 14-year-old team when he was 12.
Yeah, he did.
And it's funny now. Sometimes he would come up in a big situation at 12 years old, and he would crowd the plate and get hit by a pitch.
Dude.
And the people who were cheering the most when that happened were his mom and dad.
Bro, he knew what
and that's what he knew.
It always
how
was
he was gonna.
That's always been him too.
He was either going to choke up and hit the ball, or he was going to get hit by it. Yeah. And either way, he was going to do his job.
Shout out Carm Dog right there, Aaron Carmen.
So, I know I asked you this, but I still, you know, always want to finish up asking the same question to all my guests. Subtitle is, you know, many little people in many little places, which comes from the opening lyrics of a song which go, when many little people in many little places do many little things and the whole world changes. So, you know, what's one of the little things that Isaac Wenrich's doing today to make the world a little bit better place?
Well, I will say not exactly today, but I am on the board of a scholarship foundation, and our last event we just raised like over $8,000. So we're going to be able to give out almost two cycles of scholarships. We gave out 4 scholarships just this last cycle. So like seeing that we're able to send kids to their next level of school, or if they're already in college and need some help, and we're able to actually facilitate them growing. I couldn't have been asked. This is for a friend of one of my best friends who actually passed away. It'll be a 10-year anniversary next year. And they said that I kind of reminded them of the kid that passed away. And it was a year after he passed that I met my best friend. So it was just kind of crazy how this all worked. And I got brought onto this board, and now it's kind of just something that I'm very, very proud of, that we get to legitimately change lives every single day, man. So yeah. I'm very blessed.
That's awesome. And of every single thing that you've accomplished on the baseball field, the thing that makes, you know, myself and, you know, Brooke and Randy and all the coaches you had the most proud of is what you just said right
Absolutely.
there. Because you are changing lives by, being on the board of a scholarship foundation.
Yep. And
whether you played 1 year of independent ball or would have played 20 years in the big leagues, that right there is the most impactful thing you're doing with your life. So kudos to you.
Thank you,
to
sir.
see the bigger picture.
Thank
and
you.
To understand how important it is to give back.
Yeah, always.
So, I love having you on the show.
Love seeing you in Arizona, man.
Love the fact that we could do it in person as
live
on Zoom. You're
I know.
In the RV. You get to see what our house looks like now.
Spacious, actually, for an RV. It looks nice in here.
We love it, and we've loved Arizona so far. So I'm sure this won't be the last breakfast or lunch or dinner that we have, and hopefully next time we get Katie out here with us.
Absolutely, too. She will for sure be out here.
Cool. So again, folks, for listening, out there listening, make sure you check out my other blogs and podcasts at danclouser.com. Isaac, thanks again so much for joining me, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
You bet.